Yes, Sante. So let me take you through with the news where the Aga Khan Hospital and a doctor have been ordered to pay a patient 157 million shillings for medical negligence. In the landmark ruling, Justice Alexander Muteti stated that the hospital and the doctor were grossly negligent in the performance of duty, occasioning the patient Naila Qureshi a life-changing injury and trauma by removing her cervix without her consent. Muteti said the special damages pleaded by Naila were specifically proved during the 18-year-long trial of the case. Ruth Wamboy reports on that case, which dates back to 2007 and has since been presided over by a total of 10 judges. Let's take a look.
Wednesday at Milimani's High Court Criminal Division, Naila Qureshi awaited the culmination of her two-decade quest for justice journey following surgeries gone wrong. The surgeries done in 2005 and 2006 left her unable to give birth anymore. On these 2 years, the Aga Khan Hospital, through Dr. Rafik Paka, is said to have unskillfully performed medical procedures that damaged Naila's cervix and ruined her life forever. Delivering the judgment, Justice Alexander Muteti stated that the hospital and the doctors were negligent in performing their duties. The judge said that after a critical analysis, he had concluded that Naila only consented to the removal of her uterus and ovary, but they went ahead to remove her cervix without obtaining a necessary consent. The court further averred that following the injuries, it has proved that Naila lost her job on medical grounds. The judge further ordered that the costs and the interest be given to Naila and her husband at court rates from the date the suit was filed. The court also ruled that the Aga Khan Hospital breached the contract by allowing Dr. Rafik Paka to practice in the hospital, knowing too well that he had been barred from practice in Uganda.
In the judicial processes in Kenya, that people can believe again that might take long because of the bureaucracies of the moment, but at the end, certainly, justice gets to calm down. Well, naturally, it's within their right under the law to appeal the decision of court. If they appealed, we will naturally be obligated to defend the appeal, defend the gains that this judgment presents not only for my client, but for the jurisprudence in the field of medical negligence in Kenya.
A delighted Naila said the long wait for justice was worth it.
It has been a rough road for me, but then the RRI system came in and my case was in court for 18 years. And after 18 years, I got justice and victory.
After 2 decades, numerous adjournments, patience and despair for Naila, finally justice has been delivered for Naila, a first of its kind for medical negligence in Kenya. Ruth Wamboy reporting from Milimani's High Court.
Thank you, Ruth Wamboy. We move on where the National Treasury is seeking Parliament's approval to securitize 12 shillings of the road levy maintenance fund to access necessary funds to settle pending bills. Currently, the government has securitized 7 shillings of the road maintenance levy fund and accessed at least 62 billion shillings for contractors owed by road agencies.
Appearing before the National Assembly Public Debt and Privatization Committee, Treasury Principal Secretary Chris Kipto defended the government's strategy to borrow using future revenues to be collected under the Road Maintenance Levy Fund, saying it provided essential funds required to restart road construction projects that had halted due to lack of funds.
Along the way, we had this initiative that came on securitizing the 7 shillings. Of the RMLF, which was increased last year. And that went through the process with cabinet approval. Of course, it has to still come to Parliament. And I think we have referred also to 12 shillings in this, which means there is an additional 5 shillings being proposed also to be accommodated, so that a total of 12 shillings will be ring-fenced.
To enhance the clearance of debts, Treasury seeks to securitize an extra 5 shillings on top of the 7 shillings to reduce the funding cost of road projects. MPs, however, are concerned that securitization is only increasing the loans and debt burden.
My specific question is, what is the cost of this loan? Are there commitment fees?
And therefore, if a contract was worth, let's say, like $1 billion, by the time the contract is executed, we'll have paid like $2 billion. So the very essence of borrowing that money is now put into jeopardy. It's of no use.
The issue of securitization is one that is a new phenomena. We haven't really had this before. And in situations where we haven't had a lot of work, especially in the road sector, initiatives came up, and this is one of them that came from the sector, to say it is also possible that we could ring-fence part of the money to jumpstart the road sector.
The Public Debt Committee is also concerned about the cost of the loans the government is obtaining using the levy fund. Treasury is expected to reappear to explain measures it's taken to deal with the payment of commitment fees for loans that are yet to be unutilized.
Still in Parliament, the National Assembly has approved a report seeking the appointment of 7 individuals to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Justice and Legal Affairs Committee Chairperson, that is George Murugara, while presenting the report on Wednesday, said that Erastus Edung Ethekon approved to serve as the chairperson, and the 6 members met the suitability criteria and fit to serve in the commission. Murugara said Ethekon had assured the committee that he had the spine to deal with elections. Kamucha Menza tells us more.
Erastus Edung Ethekon.
3 days after holding the approval hearings for the nominees for IEBC chairperson and members, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee has approved the appointment of all the nominees and tabled its report.
But I hope every member has the chance to read this report, to acquaint himself or herself with it, so that you know the reasons why the committee has made a recommendation that we approve the 7 nominees.
The committee defended its position, saying all objections raised by the public were addressed. Considering the report, MPs urged the commission to uphold integrity.
We want you to carry the image of this republic. We want you to continue to project the respect the Kenyan people through this parliament have allowed you.
Najua hino kazi na mitihani mingi sana, lakini nawaombea Mungu inshallah wakati ambapo utafika wa kuanza kufanya kazi zao, wao wanaweza kulindwa na Mwenyezi Mungu na wasimame na haki na usawa.
To speak to those out there who are looking at these people on the basis of their ethnicities, on the basis of the villages they come from, let me tell them, you will never win an election on the basis of who is presiding over that election. You win elections based on what agenda you take to the people.
As members of that opinion, aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Their swearing in, however, still hangs in the balance following a court ruling. Meanwhile, Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi now says the government is working on a plan to ease the tax burden on Kenyans in the upcoming financial year, including the controversial housing levy, whose implementation has faced growing public backlash.
I think there is a discussion around seeing how to restructure it, because, again, it has serious benefits, in my view. Quite a number of projects are coming up, but at the same time, the individual employees, those with pay slips, have complaints, which you cannot ignore.
Mbadi also revealed that internal reforms at the Kenya Revenue Authority are underway, aimed at enhancing efficiency and sealing revenue leaks.
Let us see what the reforms at KRA in terms of automation and in terms of making it efficient is yielding to us. Then we can now move to the next step of reducing the tax rates to increase disposable income. But
he spoke when he appeared before the Senate, maintaining that tax regularization would only follow after KRA demonstrates consistent performance in meeting its revenue targets.
Kamucha Menza reporting there. Let's go to the corridors of justice, where 5 suspects implicated in the murder case of Kasipul Member of Parliament Charles Ongondo Were will remain in custody and undergo mental assessment before taking plea. Their directions were issued by different judges on Wednesday at the Milimani and Kibra law courts in Nairobi. Were was shot dead on Wednesday, the April 30th, 2025, near the City Mortuary roundabout on Gong Road in Nairobi County.
At the Milimani Criminal Division, 2 suspects Isaac Kuria and the late Charles Were's bodyguard Alan Omondi Ogola appeared virtually before Justice Margaret Wigai. The court directed that both undergo a mental assessment before they can take a plea. Justice Muigai further ordered that they be provided legal representation, either privately or through a state assistance. The case will be mentioned on Wednesday, June 18th, 2025, for further directions. 3 other suspects, William Imoli Shigali alias Aimo, Edwin Oduor Odhiambo alias Muchani, and Abel Ochieng alias Dave Kolo, were arraigned at the Kibera High Court, but could not take place with the charges until mental assessments are completed. Justice Diana Kavetsa ordered the trio to be detained at the Nairobi Remand Prison for 14 days to allow for evaluation at Mathare National Teaching and Referral Hospital. One of the accused will be held in isolation following security concern raised in court.
I want you to say his words, exact words. What did the suspect say?
He said,
Can you show me the person who uttered those words?
I heard those words myself personally.
Yes.
The gentleman in the white shirt.
Bail was denied for all 3 suspects due to alleged threats made against the prosecution team.
As the chair of the CUC, it's my duty to ensure that your rights are not violated and that you do not violate the rights of others. The mere utterance of the words "huyu tutamua" has frightened the prosecutor out of this court. The question is, how about the witnesses? It is on that ground alone that the 3 of you will be denied bail at this juncture.
The matter is scheduled for mention on Tuesday, June 17th, 2025.
Defense.
And a magistrate court has dismissed claims by Mumias East Member of Parliament Peter Salasia that he was tortured while in custody. Principal Magistrate Paul Mutai ruled that the court lacks jurisdiction to release exhibits at this stage and directed the case to proceed to pre-trial on Wednesday, June 18th, 2025.
Under the circumstances, I find no evidence to show that his rights as contemplated under Section 25A&B were violated and the application by defense stand dismissed.
Salasia was charged with hate speech on Monday, May 19th, 2025, and was released on a cash bail of 200,000 Kenya shillings.
Letua Deborah reporting there, and that report by Letua brings us to the business news, where Parliament is proposing major budgetary realignments targeting more social programs. In its revised 2025-26 fiscal year budget estimates, the Budget and Appropriations Committee has trimmed the national budget to 4.2 trillion shillings, a slight drop from the previous year's 4.3 trillion. Shillings. The estimates report, which was tabled in the National Assembly on Wednesday afternoon, now heads to the floor of the House next week, where members are expected to debate the proposed estimates.
In a shift aimed at reining in public debt and prioritizing development, the Budget and Appropriation Committee has proposed a 4.2 trillion shillings budget for the financial year beginning July 1st. Out of this, 1.8 trillion shillings has been allocated to recurrent expenditure covering salaries, government operations, and ongoing programs. Development expenditure channeled towards infrastructure and long-term investments stands at 707.8 billion shillings. The committee has outlined various measures aimed at fiscal consolidation, prudent spending, and targeted investments. Overall government spending is capped at 2.53 trillion shillings, with the Kenya Revenue Authority tasked with collecting 3.3 trillion shillings in total revenue, including ordinary revenue and appropriation in aid. Education takes the largest portion of the budget, receiving 701.1 billion shillings, accounting for 28.1% of the entire budget. Energy, infrastructure, and ICT sectors have been allocated a combined total of 500.7 billion shillings, the second highest share, while the health sector is expected to receive 136.8 billion shillings. The agriculture sector will get 78 billion shillings, with 8 billion shillings earmarked for the fertilizer subsidy program. The executive will control the bulk of the budget at 2.497 trillion shillings. Allocation to Parliament stands at 47.9 billion shillings, while the Judiciary and the Judicial Service Commission will receive 27.7 billion shillings. On debt repayment, the Parliamentary Committee is proposing a total of 1.337 trillion shillings to be used to repay debts. Counties are set to receive an equitable share of 405.1 billion shillings if the proposals of the Budget Committee sail through. The National Assembly is expected to debate the budget estimates ahead of the formal budget presentation on Thursday next week.
And the National Treasury plans to employ additional pension officers to audit existing pension claims and fast-track payouts. Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi says the government and private agencies will be required to pay accrued pensions as fast charge.
According to the Controller of Budget, the government owes retirees 108 billion shillings in unpaid pensions and gratuities. The National Treasury is now blaming the pension accumulation on paperwork that has increased fraud cases in the pension sector. Mbadi says a contractor has already been procured to create an automated pension management system.
That's very important for the people that vote for me to come to this house to know that when they serve the public and eventually they retire, then they will receive their pension at the next month.
When you allow manual systems, it is open to abuse, and we have also identified that some pensioners have been defrauded through collusion, even between pension staff and also the bank staff.
To reduce pension backlog, accrued pension will be paid as fast charge.
The Treasury is committed to ensuring that pension obligations are fully funded and liquidity challenges are minimized. And to achieve this, prioritization of pension payments. Pension payments are treated as a fast charge.
Additional pension officers will be employed in the next financial year to hasten pension claims, with a multi-agency team set to carry out forensic audit on existing pension claims before the payments are made.
Strict pension verification procedures that is being instituted, and this will help us reduce errors, fraudulent submissions, and unauthorized payment.
In efforts to clear pension payment backlogs, a receivership team has been put up to auction KCC and poster pension funds to pay off retirees.
RBA has already put up receivers in place to work out on how to pay these creditors, along which part of the creditors are former employees.
A look at sports now, where the successful hosting of the delayed 2024 Africa Nations Championship will set the stage for the promising 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. This was affirmed yesterday during the unveiling of Techno as the official mobile phone for the 2024 CHAN and 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. The 8th edition of the Africa Nations Championship CHAN is set to be co-hosted by the East African nations, that is Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, before they co-host the AFCON finals in 2027.
2024 African Nations Championship CHAN will act as a marker for Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, who have affirmed their commitment to hosting a successful championship. The Confederation of Africa Football General Secretary Veron Omba challenged the East African countries to put their best foot forward, even as he assured that the 2025 championship will be of high quality, reflecting the African football standards.
The Pamoja was awarded, and it creates a huge interest for the people, because to combine football and this part of the continent is something incredible. So we are looking forward to this competition here in the beautiful part of the continent.
Meanwhile, CAF has unveiled Techno as the official mobile phone for the 2024 African Nations Championship CHAN and the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations, in a partnership that's expected to bridge the digital divide and enable easy access of matches to millions of football fans across the continent.
There are a lot of value together. Both of us have a lot of commitment to this continent, and both of us want to support the youth to getting their dream come true. So I think it's very unique, the uniqueness between the cooperation between Techno and CAF.
In readiness for the championship, Kenya has intensified its preparations for the finals by upgrading Nyayo National Stadium in Kasarani, as well as renovating training facilities like Ulinzi, Kirigiti and Police Sacco. Uganda is upgrading Nakivubo Stadium and constructing new venues in Lira and Hoima, while Tanzania is renovating Benjamin Mkapa Stadium in Dar es Salaam and constructing new facilities in Arusha and Dodoma.
Well, and that story by Bernard Okumu brings us to the end of the news this morning. Thank you so much, as always, for your company. My name is Maria, and of course, Mike Megwe is already in studio together with the guests on the segment Youth and Governance. You'll get to hear more from him, but right about now, let's take a break.